If you're thinking of opening an LLC in the US so that you can have bank accounts and get more clients in the US, you need to watch this video before you open the LLC because I want to give you all of the secrets and the tricks to open the LLC in the right state, open the right kind of LLC, use the right addresses, and just do everything that I tell you so that you can have the lowest amount of problems and issues in the step from paying someone to open the LLC to getting paid by your first client. And I'm going to break this down into a couple of different sections. The section is going to be if you are someone who is starting an entrepreneurship, whether it's e-commerce or service business, whether your goal is to invest in either stocks or the US real estate, and then finally if your goal is asset protection, because there's different recommendations based on all of it. And what most people do is they just go to InkFile or LegalZoom or Doula or these other thousands of companies that you just pay a couple $100 and they register your LLC and then they open the account. But the banks are getting more strict, and depending on what you want to do, that might not be the best option. While these companies will, open your LLC, it's not hard to open an LLC. You just have to register the state's website. I talk to people who just do it themselves all the time and save that little bit of money. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would always pay someone to register it for me, and I'll explain that why too. But the problem is that people just go to those websites and trust them. The issues here, and the first big issue is that the business address that you're using. There's tens of thousands of people using these sites, and they're all using the same business address. Now, this isn't working at the banks really anymore. This is something that's being. I just made two other videos talking a lot about addresses, and it kind of inspired me to make this last video to tie it all together. So if you haven't seen those, check the last 3 or 4 videos I did before this because they're about like picking the right address, what tools to use, and how to do it. But it's harder to open bank accounts when your business address is the same as 25,000 other people. So I have a video about that. You can click that if the team links it up there, and it's a really good video. But you should probably watch this to the end. First, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to close clients, bank account's really important, and it's easier if you're traveling to the US, like if you go to Florida very often, you have friends and family in Florida, I would consider registering and opening a Florida company because it's going to be so much easier to open a bank account than if you use a Wyoming company. The privacy isn't that big of a deal to have a public Florida company, and when you can put your residential address as your cousin's house, and then you can put the registered agent as your other cousin's house, or you can pay a registered agent. But you have a business address, which is like a virtual address that I'll show you in the other videos how to get a virtual mailbox. And then you have a personal residential address at like your cousin's house. Next time you go there, open a personal account. And now you have proof of address in the US via your personal account. And then you also have the company, which matches that personal account. And then when you apply for a business account, they're like, okay, so the company's here. We can see the who owns the company, and we can see that this is your bank account, your proof of address. So you have this address. So yeah, we'll open the business account using this business address, but we'll mail everything to your personal address, whatever. And then you can turn it off. You make it electronic statements. It's fine. They won't get any mail. It's really something to consider where you have your ties and where you have people and where you have people you know. It might be easier to open an LLC in that state. It's not saying that my clients, we open Wyoming LLCs because they're private and they're faster. They still come to Miami to open bank accounts. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's way easier to open a bank account when your company is registered in Florida. And it's even much easier if you travel to Texas, where I'm currently physically at now. It's much easier in Texas to have a company registered in Texas. Like I can't open an account at Truist unless my company is registered in Texas. Consider where you travel, where you go to. The LLCs don't pay taxes on their own in no matter what state you register them in. California has additional fees if you have an LLC in California, but if you go there a lot, it might make sense to have it. If it's easier to open the bank account, you pay that extra $800 a year. Because, I talk about this in my other videos. If you're an American, you pay taxes on your income. But if you're just working from your computer at home, you can have an LLC in a US bank account without paying any taxes in the US. And I think I buried the hook on that. I assumed you kind of knew that if you're watching my videos. If you want to watch more videos about that kind of topic, I have a lot on the channel. Message and we can link you one. But in terms of getting this set up, yeah, it's easier where your people live. To the second part, if your goal is to invest in U.S. stocks and U.S. brokerages, and you had like an interactive brokers account or some other kind of brokerage account, it's often easier in a state where the ownership is public because they have that additional verification step. They have the additional step to verify who you are and some more proof on the internet of what your address is and your identity. And they just seem to be easier to open those accounts when you're registered in a public state. If you're not doing anything that you don't mind having your name associated with, then it's not a big deal to have that. But you're also entitled to privacy. They have companies in Wyoming as well they own certain assets in different places, and none of that's public, and you can't see it. And if you see, like, if you wanted to come after me and sue me for something, you could see like, oh, James owns these companies, and but you would never see the other companies that I own. So that's the point. If your goal is asset protection, Wyoming and Delaware and those private states are going to be the best options. But if you're just someone who just wants to invest a little bit of money, you travel to Florida a lot, and you want a bank account, it might be easier to, to just open a Florida LLC. And a lot of people do that. And the LLC, not the corp, open the LLC. I think the problem that people are coming up with is like these addresses. And watch this other video about the addresses, because before you open the LLC, you should have a business address that you can use that's not a CMRA, a commercial mailing address, because those won't work for bank accounts. They're gonna give you a hard time. If you have a residential, personal residential address, then it can still work if you have a residential address in the U.S. But if you don't have a residential address in the U.S., the CMRA addresses just won't work when you are applying for bank accounts. So that's something really important, because obviously the LLC is not that useful without a bank account. So if you need help setting up LLCs, having the right addresses, having the right bank accounts, doing it without a hassle, you can definitely schedule a free call with my team, or a call with me even on the jamesbakercpa.com/schedule. It should be linked below. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for being here, and good luck on your entrepreneurial journey. I hope you find all the success in the world. You open the LLC, you come and open your bank account either online or in person, and have nothing but problems and all the success. And that you see me and like and subscribe to the next video.